Hello, welcome to North West Tonight. The mother of 4 children murdered in an arson attack in Salford has died from her injuries nearly 2 years after the blaze at their home. Michelle Pearson suffered horrendous burns in the fire at Warrington in 2017. Naomi Cornwell reports.
Flowers were left at the house on Jackson Street today. The fire here has now claimed 5 lives. 15-year-old Demi, 8-year-old Brandon, Lacey, who was 7, and Leah, just 3 years old, died in December 2017 after 2 petrol bombs were thrown into their home. Their mother, Michelle Pearson, suffered 75% burns in the fire and was too unwell to attend her children's funerals. She'd recorded an emotional message from her hospital bed, thanking those who tried to help.
I'd like to thank all the firefighters for what they have done. Second, I would like to thank the community for all their generous donations.
Today, Michelle's mother said that after 20 months of fighting, her daughter had gained her wings and joined her babies. Neighbours here on Jackson Street have been too upset to speak on camera today, but one told us that everyone in the neighbourhood was traumatised by what happened here. One man whose children used to play with Michelle Pearson's children told us he was devastated today, and one woman said she would be saying prayers for the family. A court had heard the fire was started by Zach Bolland and David Worrell after a feud with the children's older brother. Bolland and Worrell are each serving 4 life sentences for murder. Today there have been calls for them to be charged with Michelle Pearson's murder too. In light of her death, Greater Manchester Police has said it's now reviewing the original investigation and consulting the Crown Prosecution Service. Naomi Cornwell, BBC North West Tonight in Warrington.
The disappearance of a mother of 2 is now being treated as murder after a body was found in a Lancashire cemetery. Lindsay Berbick was last seen in Huncote near Accrington on the 12th of August. Formal identifications yet to take place, but detectives say they believe a body discovered in Accrington Cemetery on Saturday is that of the 47-year-old. Conservative MP for Fylde is calling for fracking to be permanently stopped in the area after the biggest earth tremor so far shook houses for miles around this morning. The tremor near Quadrilla's site, measuring 2.9 on the Richter scale, was the largest of a series recorded during the past 5 days, and it was bigger than the small earthquake which stopped shale gas exploration back in 2011. Here's Jill Dummigan.
Protesters outside the Quadrilla site at Preston New Road this afternoon, a familiar sight with many unfamiliar faces.
But first time of actually coming down, I think, the earthquake obviously affected loads of people locally, and it's just time to really make a stand about it, really.
I think it's the first time it's personally affected me, feeling the jolt at my house this morning.
Have you been to these protests before?
No.
We've always picked our horn in support, but what has happened over the last 4 days has been shocking.
This is the latest of 3 notable tremors here this week, each one stronger than the last. And the people protesting here today have been telling us that it's this morning's in particular which has convinced them that this shouldn't go on. Many of today's demonstrators walked here from houses nearby.
Quadrilla and that keep saying, oh well, all these other previous shakes is just like dropping a bag on a heavy shopping bag on the floor.
On the floor, and it's nothing.
So this wasn't a shopping bag then?
No, there's no shopping bags that heavy.
It really shook the building.
So what do you want to happen?
Them to go away. Them to go away. They've got to stop now, haven't they?
Today, the area's MP, Mark Menzies, officially decided he agrees. He's called for an end to fracking on the Fylde coast, saying it's clear it's not suitable for the area. The Oil and Gas Authority has already suspended it while it considers whether Quadrilla's plans continue to be appropriate to the risk of increased seismic activity. The boss of Quadrilla, though, this evening insisting that this site remains a good option to supply the country's gas.
This is an area where the natural gas exists, and the alternative is, if we don't explore and develop our own natural gas, we will simply resort to importing it. So I think the national need is very important. I understand that people are concerned, but it is within the range that we modelled and predicted, and I hope that the local MP, Mr Menzies, will recognise that.
For now, though, the machinery again lying dormant at this site while the regulators consider this latest development. Jill Dummigan, BBC North West Tonight, Little Plumpton.
A bid to buy Bolton Wanderers has collapsed at the last minute. Administrators acting on behalf of the club say a sale was agreed on Friday but fell down on Saturday. They've warned unless things change, they'll be forced to begin the process of closing down the club on Wednesday.
Just really, really desperately worried because, you know, it's just, you can't possibly imagine this club not existing anymore.
If it's not Football Ventures that actually take over the club, that somebody else comes forward and puts a bid in, and hopefully, you know, we can see a bit of daylight, because that's all we want as supporters. We want to see a bit of daylight.
A plane travelling from Manchester to Madeira has had to make an emergency landing after one of the pilots was taken ill. The Jet 2 plane was diverted to Porto. The companies apologised and say a replacement crew is being sent so passengers can continue their journey. Now, it was a big night in Manchester. Now, it was a big night in Manchester last night with Ariana Grande headlining the Pride Festival. It was the first time she'd performed in the city since a memorial concert for those killed in the arena bombing. Now, in the crowd were fans who'd attended Ariana's show on the night of the attack. Two of them met up with our entertainment correspondent, Colin Pearson.
An emotional Ariana Grande back on stage in Manchester for the first time since the One Love concert more than 2 years ago. This was not a full performance, but rather a 35-minute set to headline the Manchester Pride Festival, an LGBT+ celebration. In May 2017, 22 people were killed in a terrorist attack at her Manchester Arena show. Last night, security was tight with only see-through bags allowed, and many of the fans who had been there on the night of the attack were back, including Molly and Alex.
It's the sort of thing when I have something presented to me like this, I'm determined and I'm like, I want to do this.
I'm not going to lie, it did take a lot of time to think about it because of what happened last time. But I just thought it was such a brilliant chance for everybody to get together and show solidarity in the best way.
And Molly and Alex clearly enjoyed themselves. Many fans thought there would be an on-stage announcement from Ariana Grande about her putting on her own Manchester show in the future, but there wasn't, meaning her performance at Pride could be her last in the city for quite a while. Colin Pearson, BBC News, Manchester.
And neighbours of a man who was subjected to homophobic abuse after flying a rainbow flag outside his home have rallied round and put up their own flags to support him. Two men threatened to kill Alex Hancock, but he says the reaction from the wider community in Old Trafford has been fantastic. Here's Nazir Mogra.
There are rainbows all over this neighbourhood, but this joyful sight was prompted by a nasty incident.
As it's Manchester Pride Week, I decided to put a rainbow flag outside of the house. Within an hour, I was putting some things in the car and two guys started coming down the road shouting homophobic abuse at me. One of them then started walking towards me and said that he hated people like me, that he'd beat me up and that he'd kill me.
Alex's neighbours decided to take action.
I had this crazy vision that all the houses could hang flags out, you know, and so I just asked the neighbours, I said, anybody else want to join in? I'm going to make an order. Midday, let me know. Ordered 10 at midday. By 2 o'clock I had to order another 10, and then by 4 o'clock I had to order another 10.
I think it's absolutely wonderful that we all work together.
Just to demonstrate that this isn't acceptable in 2019 and shouldn't be acceptable moving forwards.
We're all mixed, all of us together, and yet we are the same.
Just driving up the street, it was just quite emotional, really. You know, support for the LGBT community is often from the LGBT community. So the fact that my neighbours, whatever background they're from, have taken it upon themselves to organise this and now have rainbow flags outside their house is just amazing.
And now they're planning to fly their flags every year. Nazir Mogra, BBC North West Tonight.
Now, thousands of rugby league fans have lined the streets of Warrington for a Bank Holiday Challenge Cup homecoming parade. Warrington Wolves beat favourites St Helens 18-4 at Wembley on Saturday to win the trophy for the first time since 2012. Ian Haslam witnessed the celebrations.
Warrington Wolves have waited a while to get their hands on the Challenge Cup, so it was little surprise the town turned out en masse to enjoy the moment.
So then what a moment for these Warrington Wolves players and coaches on that bus, and what a moment for all these fans. We were told there'd be around 10,000 here on the green outside the town hall. Look at that, it feels like half the town's out there.
And why wouldn't they? Having been beaten in last year's final, Warrington had gone into this one as underdogs.
Runs to the left to win it. Darryl Clark reaches and scores.
Since then, it's been celebrations all the way.
We were definitely going to do it. It was definitely meant to be.
And what does it mean to the town now that they have done it, they have won the Challenge Cup?
Everything.
Oh, you guys wrote us off, but we all believed, and you've got to believe, and we always do.
Not me, I was on holiday.
I'll let you off on that one.
It was a wonderful display of rugby, and what a fantastic turnout here. It felt like 50, 60,000 people on the streets, and to get out here and show appreciation of what the boys done on Saturday. It's a little bit surreal, isn't it?
St Helens came here as red-hot favourites, but Warrington put the flames out.
It's probably only just sinking in now. It's a strange feeling that you can't explain until you experience it yourself, and obviously experiencing defeat once and being around the team for last year as well. Just a different atmosphere and the feel and the buzz around the town this time, so much better.
A buzz that rightly shows no sign of wearing off.
I mean, you could have come dressed for the occasion.
I know. Sorry about that, no.
It just shows you to keep at it, persevere. And it was just an immense achievement. Every single player, brilliant.
How are you doing? What does it mean for Warrington to win a first Challenge Cup since 2012? Are we communicating just via screaming? Yeah, I like it.
This is, after all, a club with a lot to scream and shout about right now. Ian Haslam, BBC North West Tonight.
I think she was happy. Now, Lancashire Lightning suffered only their second defeat in 13 matches, losing just 11 runs to Derbyshire at Old Trafford. The Red Rose needed 16 runs for victory, but couldn't manage it, losing a wicket with the very last ball of the game. Right, let's get a check on the weather now. Kay's with us, and it was grey but warm in Preston today, but not elsewhere.
Grey but warm. Oh, yeah, some of us did have rather cloudy skies. We did hold on to it, especially around more coastal parts. Elsewhere, though, sunny. We did get to 25 degrees in parts of Cheshire, but I'm afraid change is ahead. It's going to turn cooler and it's going to become more unsettled, all thanks to a cold front. Now, through this evening, beautiful end to the day. It stays dry, light winds, but it's going to be another warm, muggy night. Temperatures down to around about 11 to 14 degrees. Now, for tomorrow, the odd rogue shower possible at first, but I think really for tomorrow morning, that's when we're going to see the best of the dry and fine weather. So variable amounts of clouds, some mist and murk that'll burn, but then we'll see some good spells of sunshine before we start to see showers just creeping in. It's really going to be in towards the afternoon time where we see those showers coming through, some heavy merging into longer spells of rain. The odd rumble of thunder is possible too. Still around 22 degrees, 23 in some spots, are feeling warm. What's going on? Low pressure returns. I hate to say it, and it's this cold front that really is going to give us the rain through Wednesday, but then a brief respite for Thursday. So Wednesday, I'm afraid, doesn't look too clever, although you might be welcoming of the rain. Rain heavy at times, certainly through the first half of the day, perhaps brightening up a little bit for some, especially further north into the afternoon. We start then, temperatures starting to cool down between about 18 and 20 degrees. Like I said, brief respite on Thursday, but then it looks like it's going to turn wet and windy, I'm afraid, on Friday.
So make the most of it. Thank you, Kay. That's it from me and Kay for now. We're back with our late news around about 11:15. We'll see you then. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.